When I see the women of Afghanistan, and a lot of us, when we see the women of Afghanistan, we're not just reading words on the page. We feel that. We feel that with our hearts. And we really do feel like we will do anything that we can to support you. And so if I got away from him and with my daughter, then I'm living in a secular country. But for you, your house, your whole country is a prison, not just your house. My heart goes out to you, and I do not want you to feel hopeless. I know that so many women in Afghanistan are feeling hopeless right now. I hope that listening, sharing your story, people listening to your story, people encouraging you, motivating you, helping you to stay strong. And hopefully there will be a way out of this. There will be a way out of this. It will just take time. I honestly believe that the Islamic regime of Iran will fall soon. And when it falls, all these other Islamic regimes and all of these other terrorists, they are going to fall like dominoes. It will happen soon. We just have to hang on. Thank you for joining me today on the Yasmine Mohammed podcast, where I have an incredibly brave woman joining us today from inside of Afghanistan. Mina is, of course, using a pseudonym, and she is also hiding her face because for her to come and join you today and to speak her truth is a crime in Afghanistan. In fact, her voice is forbidden in Afghanistan. Mina is here today to talk to us about the fact that she was a medical student in year 2 in university when all of her dreams were shattered by the Taliban, who now say that girls are not allowed to take any health study classes, are not allowed to join in any medical fields. I wrote a tweet about this where I was incredibly angry because if women in Afghanistan are not allowed to see male doctors, and also women cannot become doctors, then what is the plan? What is the long-term plan for women in Afghanistan? Are they supposed to just die if they get sick? Is that what these Taliban are hoping? Since I invited Mina onto this podcast, there's been even more restrictions put on women. The latest one now is that women can't even be seen through windows in their home. They can't even have windows that they're visible from. So the women are being cut off completely. If you're not aware yet, they're not allowed to go to school. They're not allowed to go to work. They're not allowed to ride in a car without a male guardian. They're not allowed to go to parks. Meryl Streep was once talking about how a cat or a squirrel in Afghanistan has more rights than a girl because at least they can run around in the parks. So I'm very, very grateful to have Mina today. You can just imagine the bravery of this young woman. The bravery of this young woman to come and join us with, I just can't imagine the level of her spirit, but we are all here to support you today. So Mina is here to speak to us about the gender apartheid that is happening in Afghanistan and how the Taliban is ruling women's lives while the world is watching. She's going to help us understand what it's like for women living under Sharia. Mina, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me in this interview. I'm very happy to speak with you in such a good interview, and I have this opportunity to be a voice of women that are in Afghanistan and what they are suffering through the rules of Taliban. So I hope I can say everything that women suffer in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I hope so too, Mina. It's obviously a very, very long list, but we're very grateful to you for being here. Before we begin to talk about women in general in Afghanistan, I want to hear about you specifically. Can you tell me about you, your family, and what made you choose to study medicine?
Okay. My name is Mina. That's my surname, and I was born in Afghanistan in 2004. And I am the first child of my family. Actually, I'm not the first child. The first child of my family at the previous time of the Taliban. Because of the leak of the doctors, she died. and there were no any women doctor. So my family has bad memory from that time too, because they lost their first child at that time of the Taliban. So I have four brothers that are younger than me, and I'm a fortunate girl in Afghanistan to have such a family that always support me, and they always encourage me to study hard, and they always respect my decisions, and they gave me freedom but with a limit, like choosing medicine. It was my dream to be a doctor, and they appreciate my decision, and led me to choose medicine because in our city there is no medical faculty, and the medical faculty who is in the other city, which is 3 hours far from our city. So I should stay in a dormitory with girls. So my family let me to be in a dormitory, and that was a big thing that I can do for me, because in Afghanistan families are very strict and cultural. So I'm happy to have a family, and why I chose medicine, there is several reasons. The reason one is depend my childhood, that I always interested for helping people and understanding how the human body works. And I was a curious child, and I saw which when my family member got sick, I saw the doctor how help them to recover, and that inspired me a lot to be a doctor, because I saw doctors as a hero, and that inspired me. And also the behavior of some doctors, especially from with the people who came from the remote areas of my country, they behave very abusive with them, and they treat them not good. So I will become upset when I saw that, and people not come for fun um, at, to the doctor, and they should be treated godly, and doctors should be kind and nice. There are some doctors that don't behave with the patient godly and well. So I decided and promised myself to become a good and nice doctor and kind doctor who can treat her patient goodly. And the third reason is my father. Actually, my father also was a intelligent student at his time, and he was at the first position at the school. So he passed to the medical university too, but due to regime and due to war, he wasn't able to continue his education and medicine. So he always encouraged me to. I couldn't be a doctor, but my daughter will be a doctor, an intelligent doctor. And he always support
Oh,
me that yeah, you can do that, and I'm with you. Even we not eat that much, but we will support you, and we will give them um, everything for you to continue your education.
that is so beautiful. That is so, so wonderful to hear. We always hear, of course, about the Taliban and the men who support the Taliban, and we rarely get to hear about men like your
Yeah,
father. So I'm really glad that you're here, not only to talk about how Afghani women are suffering, but how also the decent men in Afghanistan are also forced to follow these barbaric rules by the Taliban. I
yeah.
loved hearing
Unfortunately,
your.
there are some men who support Taliban, and they
Mhm.
are with Taliban. Really
Yeah,
sorry
for
to.
sure. I mean, I was in Vienna, Austria, just in a taxi, and my driver was from Afghanistan, and I started to talk to him, and within a few seconds, he started to tell me very openly about how he supports the Taliban, and he he's very
Oh,
happy the way that they're controlling the women. And so I was like, wow, this is get me out of this car. I didn't want to be near him.
unfortunately.
But also I've met a lot of men from Afghanistan who are free thinkers and who are, of course, very much against what is happening there. But
Mhm.
it's like in Iran or in so many other countries around the world, you can be a good person and a free thinker, but it doesn't matter when you're living under a totalitarian, tyrannical dictatorship, terrorist organization, really, then you're forced to conform. They control every aspect of your life. Um, I thought it was really beautiful how you explained why you wanted to become a doctor, especially when you talked about treating people with kindness and respect. And it made me wonder if perhaps the experience with your sister, your older sister, who you never got to meet,
Mhm.
perhaps that might have also consciously or subconsciously affected your decision to become a doctor because you wanted to make sure that people like your mom were protected. Because I know that now in Afghanistan, the numbers of women that are dying in childbirth are astronomical, like hundreds percentage more than women in other countries, like hundreds times more. And it really should not be that way. But it's because of how you describe there are not enough doctors. And when there are doctors, they're not giving the care for these women the way that
Mhm.
they should be giving it. So it is really incredibly unfortunate, especially that this dream was stolen from you.
Unfortunately.
Um, can you talk to me a little bit about when Taliban returned to power after America left? So what was your life like before that? And then after that, tell me about those changes. So when your father was supportive of you going to university before and stuff like that, how strong were the Taliban? Because they were there still, right? So how much control did they have over your lives? Obviously, now they have complete control because they can stop you from going to school. But how has their how has your personal life changed?
Yeah, before the Taliban returned to power, life in Afghanistan was different for me. I could go to school at least, participate in many programs. I could go to courses and learn many things from them. And also before the Taliban, um, I had a work experience with the organization like Help the Afghan Children. Um, I helped with them and I learned many things from them. So we also, not me, other guys engaged with sports. They were athletes. I had a classmate that she was first runner always, and she participated in tournaments, and she always got the first position. But now she got married, and her all dreams broken. So life was
So the marriage
not,
was not her choice.
no, this that was her father and family choice. So like this, many girls got married, and their all dreams have broken. I remember when at school we always study and laugh and think about the future. We never think about our um, anything else like getting married. We always think that we will first we achieve our goals, and after that maybe we got married, or I don't know, like that. Life wasn't perfect, but at least we have some freedom and for some extent. And when the Taliban came, everything changed, and girls are not longer allowed to go to school from that certain age. Like Hibbatullah, their Taliban's leader, he announced that after the age of 13, the girls are not allowed to go to school, and they are mature. They should get married. And yeah, life changed. And first they came and said that. For a for a time, women should not go out without mosques, and we put our mosque. And after that, they announced that mosque is not enough. They should cover their self properly and wear burqa. And after that, I remember for 4 months I didn't go out of the home because I afraid of the Taliban. What kind like they treat me. So my mom said, let's go to outside. That's not good for you to sit in home. So we go outside, and I saw many things change in the city. Everyone was stressful and afraid of the Taliban, and the women, um, like they hate women for not wearing mask. And they one of the Taliban, I remember, just uh, get the hair of the one girl and said, "Why your back is showing your hair from the back?" And the girl fainted and in the earth. So that was bad memories that I have from the Taliban. Unfortunately, the media don't show a lot of things about the Taliban, but there is a lot of things that we suffer and see. Um, and after for more than, I'm sorry.
No, good.
Um, Furthermore, girls are through the anxiety, depression, and
Hmm.
mental disorders. So not only
Suicide rates.
yeah, that affect to girls very badly, and women have been stripped of everything: their education, their freedom of movement, their right to work, their choice what to wear, and ability to participate in public life. And this is a grave injustice that denies them their basic rights. The rights should be afforded to every individual on this planet. So I think everyone should be voice of Afghan girls, and they should show by the action, and they should take action against the Taliban. Yeah.
So what kind of action would you hope that people would take against the Taliban? What can we do?
From small things that I see many of people and celebrities and the people who have big audience. They all are just silent and don't do anything. They can share articles, stories, and everything about the Afghan women, and they can participate in many campaigns, or they can protest against the Taliban. So in that case, maybe they can help Afghan women.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think it's important to note here too how incredibly dangerous it is for any kinds of protest to happen in Afghanistan, because
Yeah,
the audience that's listening to me, they're living in Western worlds, right? Those are the people that listen to this podcast. And so when they're living in Canada or America or the UK or in Europe, they have trouble understanding exactly how difficult it is to live in a country where you have no freedom. So they will say
yeah,
things like, why don't the women in Afghanistan protest? You know, they don't understand like that's not an option. They will
yeah.
find you in your house and they will kill you and your family if
Mhm.
you try to protest. You know, you're lucky
Yes,
if
yes.
you will just go to prison. They say things like, "Oh, why don't they just leave?" You know, and
It is not
obviously,
easy. It's not easy, that much easy, that I think we can't protest. Actually, women protested a lot in Kabul, Herat, and many cities, but they just arrested them and tortured them, and many of them are still disappeared,
Mhm.
where or die, we don't know. And so Taliban just um, they just do that whatever they want, and it's not
Ruthless.
important to them. Yeah, it's not important to them what women want, and the life of women is not important to them.
Hmm. Now, are there enough men that could possibly speak up for women? Because I have seen some, I saw one professor in Afghanistan, he took his degrees and he was ripping them. And he said, if women
Yeah,
are not allowed to get their medical degrees, then I don't want mine either. And he was ripping it as a show of support for the women that have lost, women like you who have lost the opportunity to continue their studies. Is that affecting the Taliban government in any way? Do they care at all when to hear the voices of the people in Afghanistan protesting against them? Or do they just, whether it's a man or a woman, those people are just imprisoned and tortured and maybe even killed?
unfortunately, I should say that. Um, they even not pay attention to that. There were several men who several teachers who stand by the rules of the Taliban, but they never pay attention to them, and they said, "Go whatever you want. We don't need you." And they don't need educated persons. They need just Islamic persons. They just need mullahs. They just
Mhm.
need sheikhs, and they
Mhm.
don't need doctors, engineers, and whatever. So it's not important to them. And many men in Afghanistan protest a lot, but they never pay attention to them, and they torture them, and now they are disappeared. One of my um, teacher in university, he was very talented person, so he retired and resigned. And they said to them, if you is not here, there will be another teacher. We don't need you, and you can go. And after that, he is now at home and doing nothing, and uh, with the unclear future. So I
Mhm.
think they don't pay attention, and it's not important to them what people do.
I know this is going to be a difficult question for you to answer because I'm asking you to put your mind in the mind of a monster to understand how they think, but I really don't understand how they think. So it's true. I agree with you that they don't care about anything. They don't care about education. They don't care about progress. They don't care about doctors or engineers or, any kind of infrastructure change or any kind of progress. They're only interested in mullahs and sheikhs and, to continue with their theocracy of this Islamic theocracy, this Islamic regime. But what is the plan for even for them? Like how will they live without doctors? How will they live without like what is do they just see this Islamic caliphate to just constantly be, in caves or something? Like they don't want to see progress in their country at all. They don't want Afghanistan to be an economically viable, other than the drug trade, of course. They don't want to see anything. They don't have any kind of future for Afghanistan other than for it to just be an Islamic caliphate, and that's it. That's all they care about.
Actually, they don't care about them because in boys' schools, they always encourage boys to learn Islamic books, and they add many Islamic books. In previous government, we had also three Islamic books, but now there are many books of Islamic, and they don't think in science education, but Islamic. So they say to them, you should wear hat, like white hat, and you should never cut your beard and your mustache. And um, from the time that they came, they just focused to women, not economical progress. Uh, all of their announcement rules, all of that was about the woman, not
Mhm.
anything. We know that Afghanistan is a country, rich country of mines and underground resources, but
Mhm.
they don't pay attention to them, and they give the mines for Turkish, Chinese, and other countries for exploitation, and they just take money of it, and um, it's very shameful that we don't have electricity of our own self. We import it from neighborhood countries like Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and that countries. So even they don't pay attention to progress and anything else.
Do you think that there is any, what is the hope for Afghanistan to survive this right now? Because when the Taliban came out in the 90s, you're too young to remember this, but I remember this. And Malala Yousafzai wrote her book, and the whole world was paying attention, and everybody was angry, and everybody was protesting, and everybody was screaming until there was, as you know, America went into Afghanistan and it was there for 20 years. many American lives were lost or, traumatized. There was story after story after story from people talking about what it was like for them in Afghanistan, trying to fight against all of these, barbaric practices that were happening both against women and against children. And after 20 years, they pulled out, obviously, in a very shameful, horrible, horrific, demonic way, the way they pulled out of Afghanistan. There's no excuse for the way that they did it like that. Um, but when that happened, it's like the country immediately went back to the Taliban. There was no pushback from like the military or from people who had power up until then, perhaps, you know what I mean? Like people that could have fought back against the Taliban. Taliban just took over in a heartbeat. And so what is the answer here? How are the Taliban still able, like we know that they're supported by some of the Afghan people. Of course, the people who are part of the Taliban support them because they're getting um, financial support. Um, but is there any mainstream dissent, or is there any way that you can see that there is hope for the people of Afghanistan to live freely and not be under the rule of the Taliban?
Um, I don't think so, but we hope always. Like
Mhm.
we see, the future is dark for us, not for girls, but for boys and men too. So I hope it change and Taliban uh, will destroy again, because
Mhm.
they are saying that we bring Islam to Afghanistan, but not, it's not like that. People before the Taliban was Muslim too, and they pray 5 times and obligation and other things. But now they force everything to people, and I can see, and they have the cars. They chasing the people the streets, and taking them to go to the mosque by force. So people can't do anything. If they do, they will torture. So we hope that people can stand against the Taliban, and they beat the Taliban. But it's hard. It's really hard to stand against the Taliban, because they have weapon gun. But people don't have anything, and they should be supported. People should be supported, and the big countries should support Afghan people, and they should stop supporting and aiding Taliban. We know
A
many
hundred
countries
percent.
are, yeah, aiding Taliban, and because of that, Afghanistan is now in this tough situation.
100%, I completely agree with you. The international community, politicians around the world globally, it's been so embarrassing. In my country of
Yeah,
Canada, we had the Minister of Women speak to the Taliban, and she called him my brother.
oh my
and
God.
and this is just absolutely repulsive behavior from Canada to New Zealand and all around, and pretending that the Taliban are a legitimate government and that they're going to have, humanitarian discussions with these men, and we're just going to pretend that they're not terrorists. We're just going to pretend that we don't know what they did in the 90s. And they say, oh, no, 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 they're different now. They're going to be different. Why are they different? Do they believe in a different ideology now? In fact, they are worse. They are way, way worse than they were in the 90s. All of these draconian, barbaric rules that we're talking about, that they are obsessed with women, obsessed. That's all they ever do is just talk about how we
Yeah,
can we control women more and more and more and more. There's nothing left
yeah,
to do. Now you can just say women can't breathe. That's the only thing left. They just have to come up with more and more and more and more and more and more rules. That's it. That's all they're good for. That's all they do. And the international community is still trying to pretend that they're dealing with a legitimate government here. And it's a very similar things that you saw going on in Gaza, same things that you saw going on in Iran. The
Yeah.
people are suffering under these Islamic terrorists, essentially, and the rest of the world is just pretending that they don't know what's going on and that these are legitimate governments. They're not legitimate governments. They never were legitimate governments. They were always totalitarian theocracies. And you made a very good point, Mina, because a Muslim can be a Muslim and they can choose to be a Muslim and they can choose how to be a Muslim. That should be their choice. Nobody should be forcing them. You have to wear this burqa. You have to go to this mosque to pray. You have to do this. You have to do that. When they start to force their religion down people's throats like that, that's the difference. That's how you know that you're not dealing with a legitimate government, right? And all of these secular governments around the world, they should be able to recognize that. They should be able to see that. They should be able to know that. And that should make them immediately stop interacting with these governments as if they are governments. Stop interacting with these terrorists as if they are governments. I completely agree with you. And to ask the people of Afghanistan to hear their voices, I mean, it took us 40 years to hear the voices of the people from Iran. That's how difficult it is for people to speak up under these theocracies. Thousands of people would be killed in the streets of Iran when they would
Yeah.
protest against the Islamic regime of Iran. Nobody cared, nobody listened. I really wanted to make sure that we had this conversation. I didn't want to delay it. I was really, really grateful for you to have the courage to come and join us here today. And I wasn't going to let anything stand in the way. So I'm really happy to be able to have this conversation with you today, Mina. I need to take a moment to just tell you how incredibly wonderful you are. You are a spark of light in the darkness in that country. And I know that there are other sparks of light there too. And you're all trying so hard to fight the darkness that you're surrounded by. And I know it's difficult for men too, but it's nowhere near as difficult as it is for the women. It's way, 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 way worse for the women.
Yeah.
And there has to be something. I feel like I want to do something. I know that obviously this is not something that I can fix, or I can't bring justice for the women of Afghanistan, but is there anything we can do if we were to start possibly a GoFundMe for you or something like that for you and other women around? Because I know you can't live your lives comfortably. You can't go and get a job. You can't you can't survive without a man. And so for
Mhm.
you to be able to have your own money, to make your own decisions, and to give you some sense of freedom, is that something that could at least help? I'm not sure what to suggest, but I don't want to end this conversation without having something from you, practical, real. Um, I need to be able to help you in some way. I feel very helpless, and I know a lot of people that are listening to this are feeling very angry and very sad and very helpless right now. And help us know, what can we do? How can we help you? Other than sharing your story, what else can we do?
Sarah, please, can you explain it?
مینا جان، یاسمین میخواد بدونه که چطور به تو کمک کنه، کمک واقعی، نه فقط صحبت کردن. چون ما دلمون میخوایم که داستان تو همه جا پخش بشه، ولی فقط داستان نه، یه جوری به تو کمک کنیم. آیا میتونیم مثلا برای تو پول جمع کنیم، کمکت کنیم از کشور خارج بشی؟ برای درس خوندن چه جوری میتونیم یه راهی برای تو کمک کنیم، ایجاد بکنیم که بتونیم کمک واقعی به تو بکنیم، در کنار این صحبت کردن و داستان تو رو
Okay.
پخش کردن. Good.
Yeah, I understand. I should say that I try a lot from the time of the Taliban came. At the first year, I was so hopeless, but after that, I decided to um, apply in some universities abroad. But unfortunately, they withdraw my application because of that I don't have any IELTS, TOEFL, and any other result sheets. So it's not possible to in Afghanistan that women suffering a lot to have such a that things like IELTS and TOEFL. Um, we are at home, so how we can have that
where will you go? Where is the IELTS testing center? It's
there's
just
no
so
IELTS testing.
unfair.
Yeah, just there is no any IELTS taking center, and also if there was, girls are not allowed to go there because every year is banned for women. Even they can go to shopping without mahram. So how can we take a test? So I become so hopeless. But I want people. There are some ways that they can help us, like amplify Afghan women voices, like share stories, articles, and things, and also advocate for a political action. Like they can pressure their government to take a strong stance against the Taliban's oppression of women, and prioritize women's rights in any diplomatic or humanitarian negotiations. And also they can write letter and petition, join campaigns, or create a petition calling for international leaders to take stronger action against the Taliban. And they can support education initiative, like donate organization to provide online education for Afghan girls. However, I was in a education online um, on university, which was in medical, but it was not so effective for me. Not me, but other girls too, because medical is a field that it can be learned with online. It should be practical. So we can. It was not so effective for me, and due to some reasons, that university banned too. Because Taliban take money from the online education centers too. So and also fund a scholarship for Afghan girls and women. Uh, the strange thing is that for me, that there is no any scholarship for Afghan girls. World is not helping Afghan girls to find a scholarship. Not America and Canada. In everywhere of the world, we are ready to continue our education, but there is no any specific education for us. They want many things from us, but that we can't provide them. So that's very hard, but I hope that there will be some scholarship for Afghan girls, and access to opportunities that currently denied from the Taliban. And the other thing is, the last one, keep the issue in the spotlight. Talk about Afghan women regularly with friends, family, and at the network. And the Taliban want the word forget us. And they really want the word just forget us, because it's almost 3 years and no one talk about us and everyone is silent. So that is their aim, and that's their goal, that word forget us, and they became stronger. So they ensure that the international community remains engaged. So that's my thanks. I don't know that I appreciate your effort that you are saying to how to help Afghan women and girls. That was a big opportunity for me to talk with you, and I appreciate your way thinking. You're so kind for me, and thanks very much.
And thank you for all of those really great ideas. Thank you so much, Mina. And I do know some people who are working specifically with women in Afghanistan and supporting women in Afghanistan. So I will speak to them about starting scholarships, and I will be in contact with you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That's kind of
for
you.
sure. So now I'm going to allow different people in the Yasmine Mohammed community to ask you some questions. If there are any questions that you don't really understand what it is that you're being asked, you can of course ask Sarah to help you summarize it. So we're going to start with Melissa. Melissa, go ahead and unmute.
Hello, Mina. I applaud your bravery so much, and thank you for being here to talk to us. I really appreciate, and I'm glad that I got to listen to you. So I'm from South Africa, and we also play cricket. So I want to know, will will calling for boycotts within the cricket community help? Because Afghanistan is still allowed to play the other international countries. Would that be a way in which we can help? I will write to my government. We also have a ministry for women, but it seems as if my government is about Israel and not about Afghanistan. But we'll do that. But will boycotts from that side, will it help or will it make it worse? And then I'll lower my hand. I'll myself.
Sarah, please, can you explain that? Because the leak of the internet, I didn't understand goodly. I'm sorry.
مینا جان، ملیسا میخواد بدونه که چطور مثلا اگر بویکات بکنیم، چون تیم افغانستان کریکت انجام میده، درسته؟ اگر مثلا بویکات کنیم و بگیم ما بازی های افغانستان رو نگاه نمی کنیم یا به تیممون بگیم با افغانستان بازی نکنه، آیا این راه حلی هست که کمک بکنه توجه طالبان رو جلب بکنه یا قضیه رو بدتر میکنه برای زنان؟
In my opinion, that will be a great decision, because I know support and politics are different, but there should be politics should not interfere to the supports. But I know Taliban likes to play cricket and watch cricket, so that will be a good decision, because if world boycott the money supports of Afghanistan, so maybe they can pay attention to women, and day by day, from that things, that will be a good protest against the Taliban. I appreciate that. That will be a good idea. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll work on it.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You are so good. Thank you.
That's wonderful, Melissa. Thank you so much for that question. Okay, Amber, you're next.
Hey, so my name's Amber, from California in the United States. First, I just want to say I'm sorry. I feel like as someone who's been watching the news since 9/11 and everything that has unfolded, just feel like we didn't care enough. That makes me really sad. My question though, what do you think the Taliban does care about? You said a lot about the things that they don't care about. What would get leadership attention? Things that kinds of pressure that could be applied internationally, perhaps. But like what matters to them?
Yeah, I think money. That they really want to get money from the countries, and they use women as a vehicle. They use women as a vehicle, and to get money, and we know many countries support them and aid them, and if they don't, they will make pressure to people again a lot, and so that can be a good idea if leader of the United States and Canada and other countries don't aid them, and put pressure a lot to Taliban. So in that case, they can change their ideas, maybe.
Thank you for that question, Amber. And if I could follow up on Amber's question, Mina, how are they using women to make more money for themselves?
Like there are many things. If the world don't aid them or support them, so they will announce another rule and another abusement, another thing to women, like banning everything. So if they help them, so they will be silent. Like banning universities, institutions. If they stop aiding, so they will ban something to women. So like that.
Explains their obsession with continually coming up with more and more and more rules against women. But how are the international politicians so stupid as to respond with giving them more money. I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, recently, I think South Korea, it support them with $5 million like that. So they have supports, international supports, and in that case, they don't think about the women. If the international countries support them, so you know that they will think there are countries that support us. So why should pay attention to women? If the international countries don't support them and make pressure a lot to them, so they maybe they change their ideas. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can see what you're saying for sure. In that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if they refuse to continue to give them money, then maybe it will force the Taliban to roll back some of these rules
Yeah,
that they
for sure.
have on women.
Sorry for I'm not explaining very good, but I try my best to explain it.
No, I completely
Because
understand what you're saying. And it reminds me actually of what Hamas were doing in Gaza, which is that whenever they want the more money from the international community, they create some sort of, they piss off the Israelis. Basically, they get engaged in some sort of terrorism with the Israelis. And so then Israel will retaliate, and then Gazan people will die. And then they say to the international community, look how many of our innocent people have died. And so then the international community is just giving them money.
yeah,
So it's like this was their system. They use the bodies, they use the souls of these Gazan people as a source of
exactly.
income for them. Basically, that's how they see these people, is they see them as a way to make money from the international community.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this is horrible. I'm hoping we're going to get to something positive, but I don't know if that's going to happen today. Courtney, you're next.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Mina. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us. I just wanted to ask you, so I have a friend who messaged because she saw a travel influencer go to Afghanistan and, you know, essentially everything was fine for her as a woman in Afghanistan and she was traveling
Hello.
and there was no problems. Travel influencers coming and doing that.
Yeah, I think internet is very weak here, but I understand what are you saying. As an international woman, they can came in Afghanistan, and they will be in the protect of the Taliban if they wear veil and abaya. They cover themselves properly. They can come here, but they will face many restrictions, and but they will never know what's happening to Afghan women who are in Afghanistan, and they face many problems. So people came from many countries here just for seeing Afghanistan. But if you see, there is no woman who make an interview or made an interview with a woman. Everyone who came in Afghanistan, they interviewed and talked with boys, men, but there is no woman. And um, they can come, but there are many restrictions against them,
And
especially for
how does it make you feel to see that they can be so free in Afghanistan and you can't?
yeah, it's really feel I really feel bad because before the Taliban, everything was a little bit okay. We can go everywhere we want and courses, but now I'm at home and like a prison. Home is like a prison for me, like a jail, and just I spend most of the time at home working by mobile and maybe reading some books. But I get tired. There's nowhere that I can go. And my mom said go outside, but I say should I go? There is no park, there is no shopping, and I need mehram, a man by me who can go outside. So it's really hard for me, and
Yeah.
no one can feel us. Just if they be at the place of us, so they can feel better us.
Okay, thank you. And I really hope that you can be free one day very soon.
Thank you very much.
I know that it's not comparable, Mina, but I will tell you that when I was 19, my family forced me to marry a terrorist, a member of Al-Qaeda. And I was also imprisoned in the home for the whole time I was married to him. I also had to wear the burqa, cover myself head to toe in black. And so when I see the women of Afghanistan, and a lot of us, when we see the women of Afghanistan, it's not just, we're not just reading words on the page. We feel that. We feel that with our hearts. And we really do feel like we will do anything that we can to support you. It's very different for me because I was living in Canada. And so if I got away from him and with my daughter, you know, then I'm living in a secular country. But for you, your house, your whole country is a prison, not just your house. Where can you go? What can you do? Like you were saying, there's no point. And so my heart goes out to you, and I do not want you to feel hopeless. I know that so many women in Afghanistan are feeling hopeless right now, but I hope that listening, you know, sharing your story, people listening to your story, people encouraging you, motivating you, you know, helping you to stay strong. And hopefully there will be a way out of this. There will be a way out of this. It will just take time. I honestly believe that the Islamic regime of Iran will fall soon. And when it falls, all these other Islamic regimes and all of these other terrorists, they are going to fall like dominoes. It will happen soon. We just have to hang on.
Yeah, inshallah, I hope so.
Sarah, you're next.
Thank you, Yasmin. Uh, Hi, Mina. Before I ask my questions, I just wanted to again repeat everything everybody said. Your courage is awe-inspiring. It's not surprising because when we had Women Life Freedom movement in Iran, the first people who came out on the street supporting us were women in Afghanistan. And they were under the Taliban. They were the first people who were on the street, women with their little signs reading Zan Zendegi Azadi. And that, to me, was the most beautiful kind of support I could get for people who were fighting their own fights and still coming out to support us because they could see that we are sisters in our bondage. So thank you for that. And thank you for being here. I have two questions for you. We've been talking about solutions. Would online classes help in any way? Online classes that people can have in other countries for you and give you classes, and you could study probably online and get a certificate or a degree. I know you can't work, but that might be something you can use if your father or your valley or whatever it is allow you to leave the country. Would that be helpful at all?
I just want to quickly say, Mina did mention that with her studies in the medical field, it's not something that she can do online. It's something that is practical. So I guess, Mina, the question is more like, are there other things that interest you that you might be able to learn online?
Exactly, yes.
Online classes will be effective just for schools and the students who are in school for their education, but not for practical fields. Like I was in online classes, but it was not so effectful. But I really appreciate the word and the people who feel themselves responsible against the women of Afghanistan, and they manage online classes. So I learned English actually from online classes, and that much English that I can solve my problems. So it can for learning language and for learning some skills, and that can be effectful. But in some fields, I don't think so.
Definitely not everything, but at least to give you hope that you have a connection to the outside world.
Yeah. And then, sorry, Sarah, before you get to your second question, then it's like once you get your degree, what do you do with it? You can't work in that country anyway. So
Yeah.
we will, we have to have some sort of support system for women that are in Afghanistan who are getting their degrees online. And then the next step is helping them to get jobs in other countries with this degree, because obviously you're not going to be able to get any kind of experience working in that
Yeah.
field because you simply don't have the ability to. So they have to look at Afghan women differently than they do at all of the other applications that they get, whether it's for education or whether it's for work. They have to understand the context. Like you were talking about, Mina, telling you that you have to have TOEFL and IELTS. How are you going to do that? It's just not possible. So they have to they have to look at the rules differently when they're talking about women from Afghanistan. They have to be using a different lens than they will be using with any other students anywhere else in the world, or any other employees anywhere else in the world. There has to be some sort of humanitarian, perspective. This is a crisis here, and we have to be able. How are we going to circumvent it? We have to do our best. So Sarah and I will continue to stay in touch with you, and we're going to help you to navigate this. Sarah,
Yes,
go
but
ahead.
even if they get online jobs, like let's say they get the TOEFL and IELTS online, I don't know, they get online jobs. How do they get paid? They are not
Yeah.
allowed to have bank accounts in their names. They can't go to the bank to get the money. And even if they are paid, they are not allowed to go shopping. Let's say Mina has $1 million in her bank account, and she has access. Where does she go? What does she's stuck in this prison
Yeah.
that's a country. So my thinking behind that question was if we could create connections somehow to at least not feel this hopelessness with mental health somehow. I don't know. I'm just grabbing at things at this point. But thank you. Yes, thank you. The second question is, we hear about the Taliban, how they send their daughters and their wives to Qatari universities and Qatari schools. They go outside Afghanistan to get educations. Is that true? And if it's true, how can we expose that? Is there any way we can find these people in other countries around the world and find them and say, look, this is the Taliban's leader's daughter getting an education in Qatar? Would that be helpful at all? Mina, you are muted. You are muted, honey.
Yeah. I should say that all Taliban leaders' daughters and their children are outside the country. They are not here. The rules and just for the women and girls and the people of Afghanistan, but not for their children and daughters. All of their children are in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, in Kuwait. So they have the basic rights to educate yourself, to travel, and every rights. But in Afghanistan, they just apply rules for the people who are here, and that's a very terrific, I think.
It is terrible. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mina. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So much.
Sarah's wearing the t-shirt of my organization, Free Hearts, Free Minds, which supports women and men and gay people who are living in Muslim majority countries and who are suffering under totalitarian laws. And so somebody was just saying here in the comments that through Free Hearts, Free Minds, we can find a way to do some fundraising to help you to study online and then hopefully to help you to get a job from whatever degree that you earn in another country. So we're going to do our best to help you with that, Mina. I'll get back to you with that.
Yeah,
Rachel,
because
you're next.
okay, in Afghanistan, actually, women are not allowed to work. My mother was a staff in mines management. She had a good salary, but now all women's salaries become half or very half, like $60, $60 per a month. So
Oh
they
my
just
God.
say, yeah, that's very less in per month. Even they can buy yourself whatever they want. So it's very terrific. I don't know what they do with the money, but they will never support women. And one of my aunts was engineer, and she had master degree. She was very intelligent, but now she fired from the university, and she's hopeless at home. So there is no work for us, and also they banned women from working with organization and international communities.
Yeah,
So
I remember that.
yeah, I tried my best a lot to find a job or find a university. I took my passport very difficult in very difficult way, because they will not they didn't give a passport to girls, because they say if we give passport to girls, they will go out from the country. So yeah, I get it for a year, and I try really hard. I said that I'm sick and I'm going to treat myself in another country. So in that way, they give me my passport. So
And
there's
it
a lot of
expires after a year.
no, it has 4 years to expire.
Oh, it has already expired.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
They really have, it's worse than a prison. You know,
Yeah, it's scary.
they've controlled even more than prisons do.
Yeah. Some of my friends want to go out the country. They don't let them, and they go to Iran. They went to Iran and Pakistan, and from that countries, their families support them to go out of the country, because from from Afghanistan they can't go outside, and they go to another country. They went to another country. I'm sorry, and from that country they go abroad for studying.
Mhm. Yeah, I've also heard about how terribly Afghan people are treated in Pakistan too. So it's
Yeah,
like, where do you escape? Rachel, you're next.
So yeah, thank you, Mina, for coming and speaking with us today. My question is involving people who have already come here to the West. I live in Berlin, Germany, and most Afghanis I have met here in Germany are men, not women. Yet I know that women are the ones who need asylum the most. And I'm just wondering if you know why it was mostly Afghani men who successfully reached places like Germany, but the women didn't. I also saw similarities with the Syrian refugees. And this was something that we would also ask the men, and they couldn't really respond. So were the women stopped from making the journey? What were the factors involved? Also, so that maybe in the future, when looking at how to get women over for as asylum seekers, maybe we can change somehow what the asylum policies are here.
yeah. I hear that Germany and France announced that they will give asylum to Afghan women. but it is impossible. I think it is very hard to go outside the country. Men, they means go to another countries like. Sorry, can you please tell me قاچاق? What will be in English?
Trafficking, human
Yeah,
trafficking.
they go by trafficking to another country, and they reach out to Germany and other Europe countries. But women are not allowed. Um, Afghanistan is a strict country, and people and families never let women and girls to go by yourselves to another country. So that's the why that women can't go outside. And men can go and can pay money, a lots of money, but women don't have that much money, and family don't support them to go outside the country.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that helps answer my question, because I remember them talking about how much money they would accumulate to then give to you call them schlepper, like the people who bring them from country to country or
Yeah.
bring them on the boat, and then they have to have that capital in order to get over in the first place. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, Mina, we have spent a lot of time talking about the problems and the possible solutions for you and for so many other girls and women in Afghanistan. I want you to know that even though we haven't come up with, the magic wand, what is the magic solution, we can't end this conversation with sharing something, immediate that we're going to be able to do. But I hope you know that there's so many of us that are going to follow those suggestions that you gave to us. We're going to continue to advocate for women in Afghanistan, and we're going to do our best to support you as well. And I just wanted to make sure that you've said everything that you want to say, that there wasn't anything more that you wanted to add before I conclude this conversation. I want you to have the last word.
I want to add something at the end, that Taliban will be never change, and they will never do the things that women want. And so world should be hopeless from them, and they will never do the things that women want, and should stop supporting them. And the world should stop I'm sorry, world should support Afghan women and girls instead of the Taliban. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's so sad how many people, how many leaders have been fooled by them. But you're absolutely right, Mina. I hope everybody here and everybody who's listening to this will spread that message far and wide, that our important aim here is to support the people that are suffering under the Taliban. So whatever you have to do, Melissa's suggestion of boycotting the cricket team, different kinds of things that you can do within your scope, within your frame of whatever it is in your life that you can do. Write letters to your governments. We have to get the word out. We have to continue to support these women. Look at Mina's eyes. Think about how you would feel if you were in second year of medical school and then suddenly these barbarians came and said, you're not allowed to continue your studies, something that you planned and dreamt about your whole life in a country where it's so difficult for women to survive. But you had your father's support. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Mina. Take care, everyone.
After hearing all that, you might be left wondering, what can I do? How can I help? Well, this is why I created a nonprofit called Free Hearts, Free Minds. We are the only organization dedicated exclusively to helping these free thinkers. We empower them with our programs and supportive community, lifting them up so they can heal, speak out, and begin to make positive changes, not just in their own lives, but within the broader community around them. If this is a cause that resonates with you and you want to make a difference, one way to do that is by donating to Free Hearts, Free Minds. Because not enough people care about this cause, we need people like you to help fuel this change. You can donate via our website, freeheartsfreeminds.com. Thank you. Every dollar you donate makes a difference.